You okay? This is X, and he's a great guy, high IQ.
Elon Musk and his son Lil X showing up in the Oval Office as President Trump signed off on some EOs backing up Doge. The world's richest man dismantling the Democrat hysteria over his cost-cutting operation, point by point.
If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what the people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for.
It's going to be probably close to $1 trillion. It could be close to $1 trillion that we're going to find.
If you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically.
And while Musk and Trump were artfully articulating why Doge is needed to cut the federal budget deficit in half, Democrats were holding their daily anti-Musk rage fest rallies and letting the F-bombs fly.
I say Trump.
We are going to beat. I was going to say, but no, we're not. No, I'm not going to say that.
I don't swear in public very well, but we have to Trump. Please don't tell my children that I just did that.
Hey, Greg, the difference between Elon Musk holding court in the Oval and the Democrats screaming outside is pretty stark.
Well, first, you got a guy whose kid is crawling all over him like he's a climbing wall. He's talking about waste, fraud, and abuse, and the kid's treating him like a jungle gym, yet he can handle it. Meanwhile, you got these other I don't know what you call them, but they're acting like children. I think that what has happened is, absent of any policies or vision, they've resorted to a consistent, nonstop tantrum. I've been watching a lot of Netflix, Jesse, and every show has somebody tied to a chair. Have you noticed this? Every like the hero or the villain is tied to a chair. The Democrats and the media are tied to a chair. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to turn people against each other. Like they're trying to get, maybe Trump will get jealous of Musk. Maybe Musk will get tired of Trump because they don't have anything to do. The problem is they're not the hero. They're the villain. They're not going to get out of that chair. And then they're also doing these things that, oh my God, USAID. There are programs there that help people. But they neglect to point out that that's the point of the programs, to point them out. To say, look at these programs while you steer the attention away from the wet work you're doing in other countries. They're like the good programs are like the makeup and the skirt on the person about to roofie your drink. And that's why, again, no heads of state are saying, please don't take USAID away from us. It's only the Democrats. Only the Democrats that are saying, please don't do this to us, because they know the gravy train is coming to an end. And it is, I hate to say this, the tip of the iceberg, but I want you, the way they're acting, they are like the mafia. The mafia kills, a dozen people a year, but then, they hand out toys at Christmas in Little Italy, as if that's enough.
I would hate to see your recommended for you Netflix. That would get scary. You were tied to a chair. Do you agree that you're tied to a chair, Richard?
No, am I tied now? No.
You might be in a minute.
No, I'm not tied to a chair, America.
It was an analogy, Richard. Just go along with it.
I didn't understand. I guess I didn't get it. All right. Either way, listen. I do agree with Mr. Moss that people, the American people voted. Anytime you vote for the opposite party in charge, you want something different. But once again, I think our Constitution prescribes how this is supposed to get done. It says that when it comes to how spending is allocated, that happens via the United States Congress. They are the purse. The nickname for the Congress is called the purse. They are the ones who determine how money is allocated, how money is spent, right? Not Elon Musk. And so listen, I agree with Greg. If the people do want reforms, if they do want to change agencies, then it's the job of the Congress to do that. I think what's very interesting in this moment is many of the things that are happening, many of the reforms are happening are things that Republican members of Congress have advocated for years, and they haven't been brave enough to go to the well and actually vote for those things to happen because they're afraid of how voters will respond to it. So now they have the richest man in the world doing their dirty work for them.
It's not dirty work. The fact is,
Well, yeah,
they're
because
avoiding
but
people
hold
like
on,
you.
Greg,
Every time the
Greg, I didn't
Republicans,
interrupt you.
no, every time
But
the
I didn't interrupt you. Allow me to
no, I'm
finish.
responding to you. Every time the Republicans would try to cut something, you guys would say, "Oh, you're going to kill grandma."
Well, no, but wait a second. But let's just talk about one of the things that he's prescribing to cut. He wants to get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Here's what it's done for the folks at home. It's limited overdraft fees at banks. It's limited credit card late fees. It's made it easier for you to switch banks. It's removed medical debt from people's credit reports so that you can actually get rent after you've been sick. It's gone after banks who've taken advantage of people.
What's your argument?
My argument here is these are things that have protected the American people every day, and Elon wants to get rid of them because it doesn't work for
America
millionaires and
voted for
billionaires.
this.
No, they did not.
Yes,
they did not
did.
vote to get.
Yes, they did.
I'm sure.
Where were you on November 5th?
Donald Trump did not go to the American people and says, "I want to raise your overdraft fees." Did he? No, I don't think so.
They made it clear
I don't think so.
what Doge was when
He
he
did
was
not go
running
to
for
the American
president.
people and says, "I want to raise the amount you pay on late fees." Actually, the opposite of that. He said, "I'm going to cap late fees." That's not what's happening when you get rid of the Consumer Protection Bureau. You're right, it is too late. So hopefully American people wake up to see what's happening.
You know what this is like? This is like saying that a prosecutor, if that prosecutor sees fraud and abuse, shouldn't
This is not
be,
fraud and abuse,
Can I
Judge
finish?
Jeanine.
Let me finish. If you see fraud and abuse, you should just ignore it. Here's the bottom line. There is so much fraud, abuse, overspending, and corruption in our government, and the Democrats never wanted us to know about it, never gave us the ability to look at it. And so now we have a man who had 4 years out of office to say, you know what, there's a lot more going on than we know. And all of a sudden now, and this isn't rocket science, you go in, it's like bringing in a forensic accountant and saying, can you look at these books? No one is losing anything. There's a temporary hold. We're going to decide what we're going to do with this. And in 3 weeks, they've unearthed incredible things that the American people are disgusted with. We're paying for transgender operas in foreign countries, having nothing to do with promoting American interests. And all of a sudden, they want to say, well, you know, this is all for Elon's billionaire buddies. Got nothing to do with that. It's about saving my hard-earned taxpayer dollars. And in the end, they want to turn it into something that it's not. But this has gone on for years. And finally, we're taking a look at the books. And now we've got a judge to say, you can't look anymore. I want to stop you from looking at the books. How un-American is that? That we can't even decide where there's fraud and abuse. And people, 83% of the people in this country wanted change in this government. And as Elon Musk said, it's about competence and caring. And you know what? I care about the fraud in this government, and they're unearthing it they've only been through Doge, through USAID. Wait till we get to education and everything else.
So who's winning the Doge debate, Dana Perino, in Washington?
Well, I think that when these members of Congress, we've seen this for the past 3 weeks, when they get up there at their rallies, they think that cursing is persuasion, and they look ridiculous. And they're trying to like sometimes President Trump cursed, right? And then they would be like, oh my stars, I can't believe he did that. But now they're trying to match that instead of trying to say, okay, well, they have a better idea. There's no better idea. They're not trying to explain that to people. So I think they're losing there. The other thing is, for example, last night on CNN, they had a segment that read, we are 3 weeks into Trump's second term, and there are warnings that the U.S. is dangerously close to a constitutional crisis. But they've been saying this so long that it's become the boy who cried wolf. I just want to mention one other thing. I think there's a new nemesis here that people need to think about, and that is government labor unions. These are labor unions that are formed for government employees, and then they work against the American taxpayer who's paying their salary. So a lot of these lawsuits and things where they're going to try to gum up the works and slow things down go back to government labor unions, and people ought to pay attention to that.
And they also dominate, they donate strictly to Democrats.
100%.
And Richard has a lot of late fees on his credit card. I think we found that out.
No, well,
So just pay your monthly balance, Richard. It's going to be fine. We don't need a
listen.
government to tell you what to do.
But one, not all government labor unions
I will
support.
help you out.
Not all government labor unions support just Democrats. The Border Patrol labor union
maybe the
also
Border
endorsed
Patrol.
Trump.
Maybe
Yeah,
one.
for good
I'm just
reason.
pointing out the facts.
And why did they do that?
I'm just pointing out the facts.
All right, Richard, we're about to doge you.